year. He is beloved to the OFWs stranded in Saudi Arabia for more than 1 year, whose expatriation he sought after hearing their stories of bare survival and fear. He is cheered by workers who want an end to Endo. The Endo is resorted to by businessmen who refuse to acknowledge their obligations to provide workers with benefits by way of security of tenure. He is embraced warmly by teachers whose stories of plight of displacement he listened to after they were terminated unceremoniously by private schools in the frenzied implementation of the K-12 program. There is much more to look forward to after his watch. The man has to do the balancing act to address the concerns and interests of both labor and management. But he takes the marching order from the President, whose instructions are clear. Zero tolerance to corruption and abuse of power and privilege. Ladies and gentlemen of the Malacanang Press Corps, my honor to introduce to you Secretary of the Department of Labor, Secretary Silvestre Bello III.
Thank you, Ma'am Asek Baraan. Kababayan pala kita. Kaya pala maganda kayo. Sweden, reminds me of Oslo. Alam nyo kasi pag nasa Oslo kami, ang mahal ang mabili doon. Kaya ang ginagawa namin, we cross the border to Sweden. Doon, 50% discount ang kinakaya ang binibili namin. Malaking bagay sa amin si Sweden. Anyway, Asek, hindi ko kalain ganito ko formal ng ating press con eh. Akala ko kagaya nung araw, Benji, no, na pasok ko dito, nandito na si Secretary Remonde, nandito na si Secretary Gabi, at pag hindi nila masagot yung tanong, saka lang pinapasa sa akin. Akala ko may kasama akong cabinet ministers, cabinet secretaries ngayon, pero nag-iisa pala ako. Ako lang siguro hindi kinasinama ni President Rudy sa Peru, dahil wala namang OFW doon eh. So anyway, my dear friends in the press, good morning to all of you. I am very happy to be back. I was here about how many years ago? 9 years ago. Ganun tayo kabata. Andito pa rin yung, ang ganda-ganda pa rin ninyo, ha? Ang namimiss ko doon si Joyce Manyares. So, kasi yun ang pinakamautak sa inyo lahat, nun. Anyway, kagaya ng sinabi ni Asek Baraan, I am with the Department of Labor. This is a new experience to me. Tanungin niyo ako about cases, rebellion, murder, illegal recruitment, kayang-kayang ko sagutin. Pero you ask me about labor, medyo bago yan sa aking bokabularyo. Kumbaga sa parehas kami ni President Duterte, bago siya sa presidency, bago rin ako sa Department of Labor. Pero gagaya ng sinabi ni Asek Baraan, may mandato ang ating presidente, very clear ang kanyang instruction, kailangan sumunod tayo, baka tayo mapatay. So, ang sabi ng presidente, no to Endo and no to contractualization. Let me qualify yung contractualization. Yung contractualization po, merong legal at saka illegal. I'll give you an example of a legitimate contractual arrangement. If you are, for example, a shipbuilder, trabaho mo yung magpatayo ng malalaking barko, ordinarily, you should have a complement of about 300 to 500 regular employees. But the moment you get an order to build one big ship, it will require not less than 10,000 workers, 10 to 15,000 workers to put up the ship. Ngayon, paano mo patayo yon kung you use yung regular employees mo 500? So what do? You look for contractuals to be provided by what we call the service providers. In that case, the law allows you to have contractual employees. Allowed yun. They called the project-based employees. Another, alam niyo, pinag-iinitan ngayon sa mga endo-endo itong big retail department stores like SM, Robinson. Ito yung mga alleged violator ng endo. Meron silang complements of sales girls. Ito mga sales girls, they are very necessary and beneficial to the conduct of the business of a retail. Diba? Kung paano ka magbenta kung wala kang sales girls. Ito yung mga, let's say, let's go to SM North. Kailangan siguro mga 500 sales girls yan. Pero pagdating ng Christmas, ito malapit na, tiyak, dadami mga customers. So, to meet the exigency, what do? They hire what we call the seasonal employees. That, again, is an example of an allowed or a legal contractual arrangement. Yun. Other than that, the law says no to contractualization. Yun ang sinabi ni President Duterte when he said no to endo, no to contractualization. He meant illegal, illegitimate contractual arrangement. Yun ang bawal, which are actually endo. Alam nyo naman siguro ang endo. Marami sa inyo victims ng endo eh. Pero I will not put up a fight against the networks. Alam nyo naman kung sino mga nag-endo-endo dyan sa inyo. Pero alam ko hindi kayo makapagsalita. Kasi wala kayong security of tenure, which is the most important right of an employee, of a worker, whether in government, in the private sector, or even in the networks. Importante yung pinakamalaga yung security of tenure. Yun. So yun ang mandato namin sa department, and we have been trying our best to achieve the order of our president, and that is zero to endo and zero to illegal, illegitimate contractual arrangement. So far, medyo maganda naman ang resulta ng aming efforts. For example, we already, as of 2 weeks ago, we already registered the regularization of not less than 25 contractuals. Malaking bagay yun. But in proportion to our workforce, maliit pa rin yun. Kasi 25,000 is probably less than 10% of the entire workforce in our country today. Kaya tuloy-tuloy yan. Hanggat matupad natin yung kagustuhan ng ating Pangulo at kagustuhan din ng manggagawa na lahat ng ating mga manggagawa ay magiging regular so that they will have the constitutional right to the security of tenure and the right to unionism. Yan. Unti-unti ginagawa namin, at in fairness to our management group, the employers, in fairness, mukha naman they are cooperating, and they said, wala nang endo. The end of endo. So, ang pag-usapan na lang yung contractualization. Doon magkakaroon ng konting win-win solution. Kasi we have to balance the interests of management and labor. Alam mo yung business kasi parang parang pag-aasawa. Parang marriage yan between the husband and the wife. The wife being the employer and the husband the employee. Diba? Yan ang debate nung sa Cebu. Sinabi ko, ano ba ang husband? Employee or employer? Sumigaw yung mga babae. Ang husband, employee lang. Sunod-sunuran lang sa asawa. So, yan ang ibabalance natin. The right of the employer to good business transaction, good return of his investment, and also the rights of the employee to security of tenure and the right to unionism. Yan po ang aming utos ng ating Pangulo sa amin na kailangan namin ipatupad. Not to mention yung favorite ng ating presidente, which are the OFWs. yung ating mga Filipino migrant workers. Ang dami nating Filipino migrant workers. We have all throughout the world, we have about 4.8 million OFWs concentrated sa Middle East where we have na almost 2 million. And another concentration in Saudi Arabia where we have almost 900,000. Ito ang tinututukan ng ating Pangulo. How to protect their rights while they're there. How to see to it that they get what is due to them. And see to it that they should never be the object or the subject of cruel treatment by their employees. Yan po. If you will recall, early part of my incumbency as the Secretary of Labor, I received, unofficially, I did not receive this from our labor attaches. One gentleman from GMA asked me a question, Sir, anong gagawin mo doon sa mga 11,000 stranded overseas workers sa Saudi? Ayoko naman magpakita na ignorante pala ako. Hindi ko alam pala nangyayari sa department ko. So I said, I am going to Saudi for that purpose. So the following week, I went to Saudi to look into these 11,000 overseas workers natin who have been stranded and have been unpaid their wages for 9 to 12 months and even as long as 24 months. Pinabayaan ang kapakanan ng ating mga OFWs. I don't know what happened to the previous administration. I don't want to blame them for that. Basta yun ang inabutan namin. Na meron pala tayong mga 11,000 makababayan na hindi nababayaran ng sweldo for more than 1 year. At least 9 months. How in the world can a government close its eyes to its countrymen in that situation? Kaya pumunta ako agad doon kasama kong aking undersecretary and some of our POA and OWA personnel. And we went to the different camps where they are housed, living at the mercy of yung mga employers nila sometimes. Living at the mercy of some, anong tawag dito? Iwan na lang, hindi ko alam yung term na yun yung pang tumutulong ko na walang anyway, yun, pinuntahan namin and we saw how they live miserably. Ang init-init pa naman pumunta ko doon. 55 degrees. Centigrade ba yun o Fahrenheit? Anong tawag natin sa ating Centigrade? Celsius, 55 degrees Celsius. Medyo ayaw kong lumabas ng hotel noon kasi masyadong mainit. But then, we had to see the actual situation of our countrymen doon. Pinuntahan namin doon. Kawawang-kawawa sila. They were there in camps. Meron pa nga doon, there were a group of Filipinos who were in camp in a abandoned swimming pool. Abandoned swimming pool. Kasi meron pala silang park doon na inabandon na. So may mga swimming pools doon. Doon nakatira yung mga kababayan natin. They put up makeshift beds. Pero you know what? Maganda pala yun. Malamig pala yung nandun sa ganon. Yung sunken portion of the area. So, before that, before even going to Saudi, I requested the board of the OWA to appropriate $500 million for immediate financial assistance to our countrymen. Fortunately, although medyo reluctantly they agreed, kasi nung una sabi nila, malaking halaga ito, sabi ko, pera nung yan Pero hindi naman natin pera yan, walang perang gobyerno dyan. Wala tayong pera yan. Pera ng mga OFW. Now, kailangan nila, dapat ibigay natin yan. Sabi na, pag-isipan namin. Sabi ko, pag-isipan nyo, pero mag-recommend din ako kay Presidente, pag-isipan niya, palitan niya ang buong board. Aba, pumayag sila bigla. So, they appropriated $500 million And with that, we went to Riyadh. We gave them 20,000 each, all of the 11,000 Filipino workers. And I was very lucky to meet yung Minister of Labor ng Saudi Arabia, and he was very nice. He told me that the King of Saudi Arabia instructed lahat yung mga employers, yung big construction companies, to settle the unpaid wages of our workers. He also told me that the King of Saudi Arabia waived all the penalties about of our overseas workers. So wala nang babayaran fine. And believe it or not, ewan ko anong nangyari sa hari nila. Siguro magandang pagkagising niya. He offered to defray the transportation expense of all our OFWs. Billions yun. So sabi ko dun sa minister, medyo ginanahan ako, mabait pala mga ito kako. Sabi ko, Mr. Minister, kako, I came from Bahay Kalinga. This is a settlement of our runaway OFW women, mga babae. Sabi ko, I just came from that place, ako, Minister. I see that they're hard up. Some are really yearning to go back to our country. May I make this special request, Mr. Minister? Can you prioritize itong mga kababayan kong ito, kako? Let them go home. You know how he reacted? Sabi naman sa akin, ang tangusta pa naman ng ilo niya, gumanon siya. Sabi ko, na-insulto yata ka ako. At gumanon, sabi ko, hindi ako nakaimik. Sabi sa akin, you know what this means? It means, no problem. Ganun, yung minister. Mukha yatang may tama sa akin eh. Joke lang yun ha. Pero maraming ganun dun sa Saudi. Anyway, wala yan sa labor. Huwag na natin pag-usapan yung labor. Huwag na natin pag-usapan yung ganon. Anyway, so ganon ang nangyari. Right now, we have succeeded in bringing back 3,000 of our overseas workers. And we still expect to bring more. Kaya lang, doon sa naiwan, nakakuha na ng panibagong trabaho with good pay. So probably doon sa naiwan na mga 8,000, siguro mga 2,000 na lang ang uuwi dahil nakahanap sila sa bagong trabaho. So that made it easier for us. But at least, nakita naman ng ating mga overseas workers kung gaano sila kamahal ng ating Pangulo. Ayan ang palagi niya sinasabi, yung mga OFW natin na huwag mong pabayaan. I don't want to see any OFW lining up in your offices. I don't want ang ating mga OFW kung saan pumunta para lang ma-meet nila ang requirements. What was the result? We put up a one-stop shop where all the offices where our OFW should get their papers are located. Nandiyan lahat, 16 government agencies including DFA, PhilHealth, SSS, Pag-ibig, NBI, BID, lahat ng government offices na may kailangan ng ating OFW, they are housed in one office. We have one at the POE office at EDSA Corner, Ortigas. And so far, our records will show that we have serviced 416,000 OFWs, both returning and leaving. Ayan. And we have duplicated itong one-stop shop in Pampanga, Clark, in Puerto Princesa, Palawan, in Cebu, in Cagayan de Oro, in Iloilo, and hopefully in Davao City. We will put all one-stop shop in all the regions. Yun po ang aming gagawin. So, yun po, that is what is happening in the Department of Labor and Employment. Yesterday, we got the approval of our budget. Alam mo, maraming nagtanong, pero they never ask about our budget. Sa makatuwid, nakita nila na ang budget na sinabit namin, very reasonable. Para kami kasing Ilocano dun biro mo. our budget was decreased by 3% from the 2015 budget. Ay, 2016 budget. Kaya wala nagtanong, bakit ganito ang pera nyo? Ganun, wala. Ang tinanong sa amin yung mga policy direction ng ating department. And fortunately, we got our budget approved by the Senate in a record time of less than 1 hour. Yan. So that is the story of the Department of Labor and Employment. Now I am open to very easy questions, ha?
Okay, first
Yung
question.
mahirapan.
All right, thank you, Secretary. First question from Celerina Monte of Manila Shimbun.
Chimbun.
Good morning, sir. Sir, you have mentioned that in last 2 weeks, there were about 25,000 workers who are not contractuals anymore, regularized. So this is less than 10% of the about 250,000.
That's true.
Right. Would that include the government workers?
Good you asked that, because the government workers are beyond our jurisdiction. Hindi po namin sakop ang mga government employees. Nasa DBM yan at saka Civil Service Commission. Ang sakop namin ay yung mga workers in the private sector. Yan.
So how does this government intend to address contractualization in government?
Well, punang-una sa budget yan. Sa DBM, gagawa sila ng istruktura, kung ano yung mandato nila, anong kailangan mga position to meet the exigency of the service, ganon. Pero hindi na amin yan. Hindi ko sila tuturuan yan. Baka sabihin, pinakikialaman ko pa yan.
Sir, so ano yung target by this administration na at least yung reasonable target to lessen this
contractual illegal. The target is zero illegal contractuals by the end of year 2017. And it is doable.
Sir, last question from my part. There's this proposal before to create the Department for OFWs. Are you still pushing for that, considering that the President stated before that he wants the OFWs to come home?
Yeah. Kaya nga yung I don't want to go against it because it might be self-serving. Pero alam mo kasi, the structure of the Department of Labor and Employment is that we have agencies under us like OWA, POEA, PRC, and in fact, TESDA was with us for a while. Until now, by law, I am the chairman of TESDA, but it has been subsumed by the Office of Secretary Evasco. Pero pag ginawa mo yung bagong department, parang you are institutionalizing yung sending of our Filipino workers abroad. When in fact, the program of our president is really to get them back because he knows the social consequences of our Filipino migrant workers going abroad at the expense of their family life and family relation.
So we're not going to push through with it anymore?
I don't want to speak about it kasi ayaw ko self-serving yan eh. Ang usapan namin ni Secretary Sitoy ng PLLO is we will have a common position.
When do you intend to come up with that common position?
Actually, we were supposed to meet last Monday, kaya lang namatay yung anak ni Secretary Sitoy, so he asked for postponement. So we will probably meet next week.
But initially on your part, the DOLE, what's the position?
Sabi ko nga, ayaw kong sabihin kasi it might be self-serving eh.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hannah Jane Sancho from Sunshine Radio.
Morning, Secretary. Sir, na-mention
Sunshine. That is, kung ba yung UNTV ba?
kay Pastor Kibalay.
Kipat ko dyan.
Yes,
Oh.
ma'am.
Thank you. I would like to publicly commend your network. Kasi when I went to Saudi Arabia, your people were there all the way. In other words, nung nandun kami sa aircon offices ng DFA, they were with us. Nung pumunta kami doon sa mainit na parte, they were still with us. So, I would like to commend your network.
Sir, question ko lang, sir, kasi na-mention
Huwag mo
niyo,
nang pahirapin, kinamend na nga kita.
you mentioned niyo po yun regarding po sa OFWs.
Yes.
Nung pumunta po yung, ni-welcome po sila ng Pangulo, nag-promise po yung Pangulo na yung hindi po nila natanggap na sweldo, aasikasuhin ng pamahalaan. Di ba po, meron tayong mga group of lawyers na pinapunta doon. Ano na
Yes.
po yung status nun, sir? At
may
kung
mga,
may natanggap na
thank
po
you,
sila.
Thank you for asking about that. I should have also reported. Kasi we brought a team, a composite team. After my trip to Riyadh in late August, we sent another team. This time, composite team, health, justice, and Dole. We brought public attorneys to help our overseas workers claim for their unpaid wages. Alam mo, when we talk about unpaid wages, millions ito ha. Ang laki ng sweldo ng ating mga, nung yung first batch nung dumating, 137 OFWs, ang tingin ko noon 300 millionaires to ako kasi each one of them was worth more than 1 million Kasi yung unpaid wages nila for 1 year, plus yung tinatawag na end of services, that is to our local legal parlance as separation pay. And that is 1 year for every year of service. So, each one of them was worth about 1.2 to 1.5 million noon. Kaya lang hindi pa nabayaran. And that is what our lawyers are doing. And again, let me commend the King of Saudi, si King Salam. He also directed the lawyers to coordinate with our lawyers and help them follow up our claims there. Meron nang nabibigyan, pero still, judicial procedure nila yan Ang importante may proseso.
Any more questions? Leila Salaveria of Inquirer.
We're breaking away from Malacanang. Senator Leila de Lima is answering questions from reporters now. Let's listen into that.
Anong ibig sabihin ng isang narco state? So pinapanindigan na lang po nila yan dahil yan po ang gusto ng Pangulo. Lahat tungkol sa droga dito sa Pilipinas ay ikakabit, dadawit si Senator Leila de Lima. So ano pa na ba naman yan na ayan, nandyan na si Kerwin Espinosa. And tingnan nyo, pinatay na yung tatay. Pinatay na rin yung mga iba pa na mga identified with him. Diba? May mga 2 or 3 more personalities who died under suspicious circumstances din, including his ex-wife or ex-partner. So, pinapatay na silang lahat. So, walang choice si Kerwin Espinosa. Katulad din ni J.B. Sebastian na kailangan muna nilang takutin sa pamamagitan ng riot na yon, alleged riot na yon sa Bilibid bago siya nakumbinsi na mag-testify at magsinungaling din tungkol sa akin. So ganyan na naman si Kerwin Espinosa.
How are you preparing to hear from his mouth? How are you preparing?
As I said, I will just psych myself. You know, my staff and my friends are actually asking me that last night. And then even some of my staff are dissuading me from attending. Ma'am, bakit po kayo mag-a-attend? Kasi alam naman natin, ituturo kayo, pahihiyain kayo. So baka na naman because they know me to be a transparent person na sometimes it's very difficult for me to hide my facial expression kapag nakakarinig ako ng mga nakakabuisit ng mga pananalita. But because hindi naman pwede na just because expected na mag-attend si Kerwin bukas at mag-testify at ituturo nga daw po ako, ay hindi po ako magpapakita. Dahil ang ginagawa ko po ngayon ay ginagawa ko po ang trabaho ko. Since I'm part of the committee, I should be involved there. And ayoko pong bigyan sila ng impression na naman na medyo nagsusurrender.
What are your expectations from your colleagues, knowing that some of them are
Well, I just hope that my colleagues in the committee, especially during tomorrow's hearing, that they would conduct themselves in a professional manner. Na sana naman wag na nilang dagdagan yung kalbaryo ko na baka naman may iba dyan na mag-iisip na pagkakataon na naman para, you know, yung pahiyain ako na to make me very uncomfortable. Sana wag naman. In the first place, it would be unparliamentary on their part to be insulting or offending a fellow member of the Senate. And magtanong sila, syempre, karapatan nila yan magtanong. Pwede nilang, they can even dig deeper into yung magiging istorya na yan ni Kerwin Espinosa tungkol sa kung ano man ang sasabihin niya tungkol sa akin. Pero nasabi ko na po sa inyo ngayon, hindi ko po siya kilala. Kung never ko po siyang matandaan na na-meet ko na siya o kung sino man sa pamilya niya. Wala po akong kilala sa Espinosa family, including yung yumaon na niyang ama. So, imbento po na naman yan kung ganyan nga po ang ikalalabasan na sasabihin ay tumanggap ako this and that amount, this and that occasion, etc.
Sabi po kasi ni Senator Pacquiao, sinabi sa kanya ni Kerwin last Friday, i-give yung 8 million pesos daw po in tranches once Baguio City, Ronnie Dayan was his contact.
Oh my goodness gracious. So, ninilink na naman nila kay Dayan. Dati, tingnan nyo siguro yung naging supposedly affidavit ni Mayor Espinosa. Hindi ko pa nabasa yon. But did they ever mention Ronnie Dayan before? Ngayon na lang nila kinakabit na naman. Kasi dapat po nag-iisip tayo. Yung mga ganyan na mga moves nila. Ang ano na naman yan, pahihiyain ako. I'm telling you, I have not received a single centavo from Kerwin Espinosa, whether directly or indirectly, in any instance, in the same manner that I have not received a single centavo from those so-called drug lords na mga nag-testify, yung mga drug convicts na nag-testify sa House inquiry. Lahat po ito ay malaking kasinungalingan.
Pero, po si Ronnie Dayan?
Hindi po totoo yan. Wala pong nakikipag-meet dyan kay Espinosa dahil unang-una, hindi ko nga po kilala yan. So bakit ako mag-uutos ng kung sino man na i-meet siya, kausapin siya para humingi ng pera na in the first place, hindi ko nga kilala.
Senator Leila de Lima talking to reporters there. This is after revelations that alleged drug lord Kerwin Espinosa has linked her to the illegal drug trade. She says that the death of Kerwin's father, Albuera Leyte Mayor Rolando Espinosa Sr., was being used to convince Erwin to connect her to the drug trade and benefiting from it, and that Kerwin had no choice but to do that. Senator Manny Pacquiao on Head Start said that Kerwin told him that De Lima received a total of 8 million pesos from him. De Lima denies knowing Kerwin nor his father, Albuera Leyte Mayor Rolando Espinosa Sr., and likewise denied receiving money from him. Kerwin is expected to attend tomorrow's Senate hearing on the investigation into the death of his father while he was detained inside a Leyte jail. We now go back to Malacanang.
The AFP raised their concern regarding the proposed release of all CPP members, communist rebels.
In fairness, wala naman. We had very close meeting and discussion with Secretary Lorenzana and even Secretary Esperon, our National Security Advisors. We keep constant consultation with them. Wala naman, not a single himper of opposition.
Sir, just on the Dole matter. Sir, I think it's also very important and pertinent to the government's attempt to end ENDO is to promote trade unionism. What's the program of your department in promoting unionism?
As I was saying, when the president was talking about ENDO and contractualization, he was conscious of the labor's right to unionism and security of tenure. Kaya siya nagsasalita ng ganun eh. Dahil he knows what our laborers are entitled to and what our workers have been deprived of for the past few years. So, yung pagsabi niya tungkol sa ENDO at saka yung contractualization, lakip dyan, hindi lamang yung security of tenure, kundi yung right to unionism.
So, are you in favor of at least, kung di man po bawagin, at least to review the system of tripartite system?
Sa wage?
Yes, okay.
May mga school of thoughts na ganun. Pero mukha namang it's working eh. Mukhang it's working. Kasi alam mo, under the law, when it comes to wage increases, it's only Congress who can determine yung national minimum wage level. Sila lang, ang Congress, wala kaming power dyan. Ang power lang namin is yung mga regional tripartite board who continuously monitor the economic situation in the respective region, and then on the basis of this, they make recommendations for salary adjustment. By the way, nagkaroon lang ng bago. Sa Region 11, the Regional Wage Board dun recommended an increase of, I think, 38 pesos for Region 11. I was supposed to give that in a press con kasi malaking bagay yun, ha? So that happens every now and then, depending on how this regional wage board assess the economic situation in the respective regions.
Next question from Raymond Tinaza of Bombo Radio.
Sir, good morning. Sir, tanong ko lang kung sa peace process, wala bang parang indikasyon or pahiwatig from our counterparts na yung mainit ngayon na Marcos burial ay magiging issue considering na their groups or their legal fronts are one of those, very up and high against the burial?
Well, expected naman yung reaction nila tungkol sa paglilibing kay Mr. Marcos doon sa libingan ng mga bayani. Expected yung kanilang they've been consistent on that. But in fairness, I don't think this will affect the peace process. Dahil to my mind, and I think it is also to my mind, the issue of yung burying a dead strongman is of little significance to the purpose of the peace talks, and that is to achieve a just and lasting peace for our country. Hindi mo pwedeng barahin yung takbo yung daloy ng peace process just because of an incident like this. Especially so na hindi natin, I don't know kung anong nasusundan yung development of the case. It was not our president who ordered this burial. This is a judicial decision of the Supreme Court. So, although meron siyang sinabi niya, I'm in favor, but that is the right of any person. Just like it is my right to say na I'm not in favor. Pero it was the Supreme Court that decided that he can be buried in the libingan. So, we have to follow the Supreme Court. It is supreme when it comes to the interpretation of the law, just as like the President is supreme in the implementation of the law.
So may any plan from the President to hold dialogue with this, especially the rejectionist faction who are now coalesced with the government, that at least to explain to them what was his actually the reason why he approved to the Marcos burial?
Hindi naman siya nag-approve eh. He just said that he was in favor. As to the approval of the burial of the former president, it was the Supreme Court. So, wala siyang And I think that knowing their long association, I don't think na it will really affect the peace negotiation. Although, meron ka narinig ko minsan na papitik. Pero that's normal na ipakita nila yung indignation nila. We should expect that, especially from them, na yung mga victims of human rights violation, like disappearances, killing, and everything. You expect an emotional reaction to that Especially lalo na sinabi na nga ni Senator, was it Senator De Leon, sabi niya, even in death, he was a thief, sabi niya, gano'n, na binigla lahat, na hindi nalalaman na bigla na palang inililibing. So, it made the matter more emotional. Pero, again, I said, it should not detract our co-negotiators from the fact that we have a more noble, more important, and significant mandate, and that is to achieve peace for our country.
Sir, may patanong lang, may kinalaman sa expertise mo. Sir, basahin ko lang as is. What is the department doing to ensure that alleged bribery in courts will not prosper to the disadvantage of workers who want to file cases against employers violating security of tenure and other rights?
What is our guarantee?
Yes, sir.
It is our mandate to protect workers from violation of the rights at workers. The same way that we are also mandated to protect the rights of our employers. Yung mga sinasabi ko minsan ng mga employers na hindi kami bias in favor of the employees. But we have to consider that the disadvantaged one is the employees. Di ba? Kaya mas maintindihan naman nila kung ang aming pag-aalalay as medyo mas mabigat para sa employees. Kasi disadvantaged sector sila, hindi ba? But that is not to be unfair. Kailangan i-balance natin sila.
Ted Tuvera from Tribune.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Sir, yung balik lang po tayo dun sa usapin ng peace talks. May mga leftist groups po kasi na nagsasabi ngayon na may mga violations daw po na kinukumit ang AFP tsaka PNP sa ceasefire. May mga punitive actions na nagagawa. Sir, ano po yung reaction natin dito, sir?
So far, alam mo, may committee yan eh. So far, wala kaming reported incident. In other words, may nagsasabi na may na-violate. May na-violate. Pero officially, wala naman dumarating sa aming complaint that there is a violation of the ceasefire. Both from the military and the NDF side. Kasi only yesterday, I talked to former Secretary Nani Braganza, who is a panel member, and he said na nag-complain sa kanya si General Cruz na meron daw inambush na mga sundalo. Sabi niya, nakakatakot kung NPA ang nag-ambush, violation ng ceasefire. Sabi ko, huwag ka matakot. I-verify nyo kung sino nag-ambush. Ganon din, may mga nagsasabi na mina-violate daw ang rights ng mga NPA. Pero wala namang dumarating na official complaint. Kasi meron kaming ceasefire monitoring committee. So doon dapat dinadala. So far, wala naman nagre-report. In other words, our ceasefire commitment is holding out.
Sir, kasi you sound so optimistic po dun sa pagkakaroon ng bilateral ceasefire by December. And then, yung NDF naman, particularly si Benito Chamson, sinasabi niya na medyo imposible daw na magkaroon ng bilateral ceasefire soon dahil nga may alleged violations. Tapos parang may mga binabanggit sila na may tendency daw si Presidente na maging mala Marcos. Sir, how do you respond to those statements?
Sabi ko nga sa iyo kanina na these are emotional reactions. Siguro, remember Benito Chamson, ilang taon niya nakulong. Hindi lang siya kuminsan nakulong, kuminsan kasama pa niya yung wife niya. So, nandyan yung bitterness Nandyan yung bitterness. So, when there was an incident like that, pinahayag agad ang kanilang sentimento. But I'm sure, Mr. Chamson and the rest of the NDF understands the position of the President. Otherwise, sinabihan na nila ako, tinawagan na ako ni Fidel Agcawili.
Sir, you mentioned earlier na parang nagiging issue nyo ngayon yung usapin ng revolutionary tax. Sir, sa part po ng Government Peace Panel, do you consider their collection of revolutionary taxes unlawful?
Siyempre naman, it is unlawful. Pero kagaya ng sinabi ko sa inyo, that's part of the process. Kasi, sabi nila, ihinto namin yung revolutionary tax collection. Paano namin mabuhay yung mga sundalo namin? Kagaya rin tayo. Huwag kayo mag-collect ng tax. Paano naman tayo mabubuhay ang ating mga empleyado kung wala na tayong kukolect ng tax? So, give and take yan. We have to understand that the reality is they are doing that for their forces.
Sir, last from my part, nabanggit kasi kanina yung usapin ng mga rejectionist. Sir, how do you go about dun sa mga ibang splinter group, so to speak, ng mga komunista? Merong RPA, merong iba pang grupo. Sir, may plano po ba kayo, sir, na gayahin yung ginagawa ngayon ng peace panel sa mga Moro, wherein parang nagkakaroon sila ng dialogue with other groups? Sir, sa pakikipag-deal po ba sa mga komunista, gagawin din po ba natin yung pakikipag-usap sa ibang mga splinter groups?
Siguro kung meron mang grupo na makikipag-usap sa yung mga splinter group, ito yung mga tinatawag na rejectionist, di ba? Siguro ibang panel yan ang i-create ng ating presidente para makafocus kami doon sa talks with the NDF.
So may possibility nga po na gagawa
Oo, pwedeng gagawin yun.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Last two questions from Giovanni Nilias of Philippine Star and then Benji Liwanag of DZWB.
Sir, good morning.
Morning, Giovanni.
Sir, ibabalik ko lang po dun sa issue ng seasonal workers.
Yes.
Marami po kasing season ang Pilipinas. Merong graduation season, merong Valentine season, Christmas season, and everything. So, para lang ma-compensate, sir, alam naman natin mga job order lang to. Would you agree na or would you propose na dapat mas malaki yung compensation na ibibigay sa mga...
Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III, he's a resource person at the Malacanang briefing today. He says he's working hard on the President's battle cry of no to endo and no to illegal contractualization and seeks to accomplish this by the end of 2017. So far, he says they've been relatively successful in their efforts with 25,000 employees regularized and companies signifying their cooperation of ending end-of-contract arrangements. He also said that the government is also focused on protecting OFWs, most especially those in the Middle East, in Saudi Arabia. They're mainly targeting 900,000 workers in Saudi Arabia. He reports of about 11,000 in Saudi Arabia who were not being paid their salaries for 1 year. So far, the agency has succeeded in bringing back about 3,000 OFWs. Bello also wore his other hat as a government peace panel chair in the peace talks with the National Democratic Front. He briefly talked about the Marcos burial. He says it will not affect the peace process with the NDF. He says the burial is of little significance to the bigger picture of lasting peace. He also says that there may have been reports of violations of a ceasefire agreement with the NDF, but they have not received any formal complaint about it, so it seems that their ceasefire mechanism is holding. Please stand by for Dateline Philippines.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Anton, your Metrobank buddy. Here at Metrobank, we want you to live the life you want. For you, we have a car loan. With free shadow mortgage, free insurance, and low monthly amortization. Go ahead, apply online or at your nearest branch. What you want in a bank, check it out at Metrobank.
Here, you're in good hands!
Season premiere na ngayon!
How to fight FOMO. Step 1, get your Sky Mobi. Step 2, connect the laptop.
Di natin to pwedeng mamiss. Kalma, eto na nga.
Open the site.